Hi there. Do you know how to fight fair in your marriage? Well, I'm sure you know how to fight. Maybe you had some choice words or an attitude, a little bit extra feistiness or sass to it. Or maybe your fighting showed up in behavior, that cold shoulder or slamming the door. Um, Fighting can show up in all kinds of ways, but do you know how to fight in such a way it draws you closer together and creates more openness for sexual intimacy? Well, you are in the right place. Welcome to today's video. My name is Mary Whitman Ortiz. I am a Christian sex educator, relationship coach, and author. And I love opening up conversations for couples to talk about sex in their marriage. It's the perfect time and place to talk about it. And you may be saying, but Mary, what does fighting have to do with sex? So many things. I want to unpack that for you today. Now, my goal is to be thinking about the oneness that God designed for couples to know in their marriage, where they are united. And that feeling of being united doesn't mean that they're identical or they're uniform, but it does mean that they are pulling together, that there's safety. So that shows up where you value your spouse's words, and there's trust, which means you're for them. You are believing the best in them and for them. That sets the tone for being open with each other. And I like to look at that word open as the letter O that represents the word one. So we are going to focus on that. We're in a oneness series. And this is the part that says, how do we become more open, more vulnerable, even when we're fighting? And I have 4 tips for you today to resolve conflict in such a way that you will be closer together. Are you ready? All right, let's look at this list. Number 1, share the hurt, but look beyond. You're not just venting, you are creating a path to bond. Number 2, see the issue as an outside factor or interruption, not as a reason to blame your spouse. Number 3, going to get a little touchy here, take ownership for your actions. So yes, could be an outside interruption, could be you, your attitude, your perspective. So take ownership for your actions. Ask forgiveness often and genuinely, because when you get soft, when you get vulnerable, when you get open, it reduces the anxiety, it brings the walls down, and that is the pathway, the door, the gateway to openness. And that openness is what's going to create intimacy and the connection. That's what's going to bring you through to the other side. Now, here's a little bit that doesn't often get said. When your spouse asks for forgiveness, there's that tug of war. Do I receive it from them? Do I just keep holding on to accounts and be indignant about it and just kind of holding your thought that I was right? So how can you accept their forgiveness and reach for them to be even closer than before? That is the greatest challenge of all in this process of conflict resolution. So number 4 would be, accept your spouse's efforts and choose to trust again. When you are that open and that vulnerable, and you've gotten soft because the goal was not, I'm right, you're wrong, The goal is not to drag each other through this touchy, difficult moment. The goal is to come out the other side even closer. So from this place where you have yielded, where you have leaned into one another, where there's safety, where there's trust, it's okay to admit you were wrong. And it's okay for your spouse to admit that they're wrong. And you want closeness. So here's a suggestion that you might not hear. Pray over your spouse after they've asked forgiveness. Remember, forgiveness is not an inside job. You're not working it up on your own. It is God's forgiveness in you and through you to them. He is your source for love and forgiveness for your spouse. So forgive them, pray a blessing over them, and embrace them. You really want that close physical contact, and a hug is a safe place. And from that hug, you can go with it wherever you want to. But I promise you, it has set the tone for great intimacy in your marriage. Now, I know those tough talks can be difficult to start. And we're living in a season of uncertainty, this whole world upside down. So I do have a resource for you, and it is 10 tips to start tough talks. So if you're interested, please drop a note in the comments. I can send it to you. You can email me at hello@marywhitmanortiz.com, and I would love to get that resource into your hands. But thanks so much for joining us today. And remember, Father God loves you, and He wants to lavish His love on every area of your life, including sexual intimacy in marriage.